All right, I want you to be completely honest. If you saw this guy walking down the street, would you mess with him? You'd probably be pretty scared, right?
Where I can score some weed around here.
Hey! Oh, God!
I ain't never seen.
What's going on, gang? Jerry Yap here, and today for mainline episode number 22, we have a bit of an older game coming in. I've been teasing it for a couple episodes now, and yes, the long-awaited Xbox 360 game I've been playing is, of course, Saints Row, the original one, which came out August 29th, 2006, only for the Xbox 360, which it's kind of actually funny. I never had plans to play the original one. I did buy the new one, the reboot, the 2022 version on a Steam sale for like very, very cheap. I think I got it for $20 just because I knew it got a bad rap. I knew it got really bad reviews. I knew it wasn't really welcomed by the community. So I kind of wanted to just give it a try for myself and see, you know, what exactly went wrong, or maybe it's being overblown. Along with the 2022 reboot, I also bought the Saints Row bundle on Steam that comes with what I think is 2, 3, 4 Get Out of Hell, whatever. There's like a mega bundle, everything but the first game because it wasn't released on PC. So I figured I would just buy the first game, play through that, and then play through the reboot directly after just to compare and contrast and see where it went wrong, man. And I had a blast coming back to Saints Row 1, man. What a fantastic game. I believe it was $10 on the Xbox store. However, I just went to eBay and picked up a physical copy for the same price. I didn't mind waiting for it because I was finishing up Katamari for last week's episode at the time, and it came in just in time to grind out. As far as my experience for Saints Row games in total, I have played through the first one way back in the day. I've played through the second one way back in the day, and I've played through the third one as well. However, I don't remember anything about these games, so coming back to the first one, a lot of stuff I just didn't remember. I really honestly didn't remember how the game played or what it was all about, just because it's been close to 20 years, man. So I've never played the fourth game or Get Out of Hell, which I'm pretty sure the game gets pretty outlandish at this point. I'm pretty sure the series just takes a pretty comical turn and just like loses any form of seriousness it had. Because I kind of do remember the third game going that way a little bit, but I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, if you don't know what Saints Row is, it's basically just a GTA clone. It plays similar to Crackdown. It kind of has like a similar gameplay style. Similar in the sense where there's, you know how in Crackdown there's 3 different gangs you have to take over. In Saints Row the first, there is 3 different gangs you have to conquer. So kind of a similar vibe, kind of a familiar vibe there. I'm not gonna lie, the reason this series is even known or is as popular as it is because it came out at a time where it was kind of between GTAs. You know, the last Grand Theft Auto we had was San Andreas on the last gen consoles, on the, you know, the Xbox and the PlayStation 2, and GTA 4 didn't come out till 2008 at some point. So we had like a couple years in the beginning of that Xbox 360 lifespan where there was just no Grand Theft Auto, and you know, it was leaving a really big hole in that genre. So Saints Row came in to fill that hole. Crackdown came in to fill that role. And they just did a pretty solid job, especially with Saints Row, because it really is kind of the same exact game. Crackdown, at least, you know, it's from a police perspective or whatever. And Saints Row just kind of tells the tale of a power struggle between multiple gangs. The most real notable difference between Saints Row and Grand Theft Auto definitely has to be the fact that Saints Row kind of leans into the humor and the comedy like a lot more than Grand Theft Auto does. Not saying that Grand Theft Auto doesn't have its funny moments. It definitely does, especially with Trevor in the 5th one. But the Saints Row games, the first 2, not so much, but then at 3 and on, they get pretty silly. But yeah, they really lean into that more just raw, vulgar comedy. And oftentimes, one of my favorite things they do is reference things in real life. Like the fast food restaurant is where you go to buy meal items to heal. Because if you get shot up, you can either heal in 2 different ways. You can heal over time if you don't take damage, or you can use food items to restore health. And the food place, the fast food place, and this is called Freckle Bitches, which I'm assuming is just like a dig at Wendy's, right? It's a shot at Wendy's, right? The fast food chain, because the mascot is obviously a freckled girl. So they call it Freckled Bitches to kind of give it just that real life charm that we all love. I don't know. I love it. Let's jump into the actual game of Saints Row. So what you do is basically like any other kind of game in this genre. You create a character. I created the most I wanted my guy to be like super Asian, and I don't know. I just made him have like huge lips, huge jaw. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Just went full on into the ridiculous part of character customization. Because every single game that has character customization, I typically tend to make some sort of serious looking guy, or maybe try to emulate myself in the game. But honestly, as I become older, I just don't care. I think it's way funnier, especially given that Saints Row is like a funny game, rather like a comedy game, you know? Kind of wanted to just lean into that, so that's what I did. The intro cutscene to this game is kind of crazy. It's just your character walking, and then he gets caught in the middle of like a turf gang war between all of the gangs. And then basically Julius and Troy from the Saints rescue you or save you, and that's how you basically meet the Saints. And then from there on out, it's basically just missions with them, followed by missions where you start to deconstruct and break down the enemy gangs. If you're a fan of classic racial stereotypes like me, then you'll very much enjoy what the three gangs have to offer in this game. The first gang is like the Vice Kings. They're like the African American gang, you know, like the black gang. Of course, earning their income from strip clubs, brothels, record labels, that kind of thing. The second gang is the Cholo gang, the Los Carnales, or I should just say Los Carnales, right? They're essentially just your typical Hispanic, like drug cartel, right? They control like the weapons trading and drug trading, of course. And last but not least, we have the West Side Rollers, which is just they're basically your Fast and Furious gang. There's a lot of white people in it, a lot of Asian people in it. Typical Fast and Furious, like underground racing, car parts jacking, that sort of thing. I thought all the gangs were just like kind of average, you know? None of them really stood out to me in any way, shape, or form. All of the villains and their underlings or like lackeys or whatever never really stood out to me. However, there is one that stood out to me only because I know the voice of her. I can't remember this bitch's name. What is her name? Like, I think it's Tanya, right? For the Vice Kings. She ends up betraying the Vice King leader, and you have to kill her at the end of their storyline. And I only remember this girl because she has the voice of Meg Griffin, of course, right? Mila Kunis voices this character, so that instantly stood out to me right there as a big Family Guy enjoyer. Also, I gotta show you guys one of the cutscenes from one of the Los Carnales missions, dude. My character looks so insane. Check this out.
Shit! Ah. Don't just stand there. Get in, motherfucker.
Like, dude, what the fuck is that superhero landing from the balcony? He just jumps off, sticks the landing, and then he jumps out of the way when he's about to get run over from the gang leader guy. It's like, dude, when did this guy become so super cool and athletic and handsome and rich, you know? I don't know. Maybe people don't find that funny, but I had chuckled to myself when I saw it the first time. Just had to record that for my Xbox. Another thing I love about this game is the fact that your protagonist, whoever you choose, he never ever talks, really, ever. But every now and again, he'll come in with a really funny one-liner just to kind of keep you on your toes. I don't know. I really like this, but I actually don't remember this, but I love it. This seems like a good time to bring up the respect mechanic. The respect mechanic in Saints Row is very important. You literally cannot start main missions unless you have one full bar of respect. And you mainly fill the respect bar by doing side missions and side activities. Although you can fill it by doing other things, such as like killing rival gang members. You can like spray graffiti over another gang's graffiti to get some respect. You could do a hostage run, which is basically if you hijack a vehicle with a passenger inside, you can click Y to start a hostage run. And all you have to do is just keep your car at top speed for a certain amount of time, and then it ends and the cops chase you. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but it doesn't really give you that much, so I didn't really do it that often. And the activities are actually pretty fun. Well, there's some of them that are fun and there's some that are duds, right? What I got into the habit of doing was just doing like a bunch of one activity to get like maybe 2 or 3 bars of respect out of it, and then I would go play missions and then rinse repeat, just to kind of make the game go as fast as it could. So let's talk about all of the side activities you can do in the game, while also simultaneously ranking them from worst to best, because why not? Starting off with the worst activity in the game, we have Loan Shark, because it's not really even an activity. What Loan Shark is you basically just go to the loan office and you take out a loan from about $5,000 to $50,000, I believe you can do, and then that's just it. That's really it. It's not even an activity. If you don't pay back the loan, they it keeps sending guys after you to kill you, which I mean, if you want to deal with that, then by all means go ahead. I just don't really see the point of needing a loan in Saints Row. Like, I guess maybe if you want to buy a new car right off the rip and then deal with those guys, I guess, I mean, that's up to you. That's your prerogative. I just don't really see it as there's no point to me. All right, now that the non-activity is out of the way, let's talk about the worst actual activity in the game, and it's going to go to escort, man. All escort is you basically just drive around a prostitute with their client while you have to avoid these news vans and reporters and then other harassers. There's a pleasure meter, which you have to fill up by driving, and then there's also a footage meter, which if that fills up, if they get too close to you, then you end up losing the event. The first couple levels aren't that bad, but as you start clearing more levels, it just gets more and more annoying to play. Not my favorite, so that's why it's at the bottom. Coming in as number 9 for the worst activity in the game, we have Snatch. It's not a complicated concept. All you have to do is steal prostitutes from rival pimps and then return them to like the brothel. And you're also timed when you do this. The first couple missions you can just do in one trip because you only need 1 or 2 hoes. But then as you start progressing, you start needing more hoes. So you have to make multiple trips and it just becomes more annoying. You have to kill more enemies and do more driving. It's not a bad activity. It's just not my favorite. Ranking activity number 8, we're going to have to go with Mayhem. Mayhem is another one with a pretty straightforward concept. All you have to do is drive to a certain location, and then you just basically blow shit up, kill people, knock over destructible objects, you know, like light posts, gates, anything like that, destroy cars with an RPG, massacre people to build up a certain amount of money. And then once you reach the target goal for how much shit you've destroyed, the activity ends. And obviously, as it keeps going on, as the levels keep getting higher, it's just more and more money you have to rack up. So not my favorite. I don't think it sounds like it would be fun, but it really isn't all that fun. So that's why it's going to stay comfortably there at number 8. For number 7, we have the Demolition Derby, which there's only one of these on the map. Oh, I forgot to mention, all of the activities in the game besides Demolition Derby have multiple locations in multiple different parts of the map. So you could just do them all with a different view, I guess. But yeah, Demolition Derby, it's what it sounds like. You get into a car, you crash other cars in an arena. There's a goal for how many cars you have to crash. I think you start off with 2 cars you have to crash, and then it keeps going on as you progress. I don't mind Demolition Derby that much. Again, I don't really think it's that fun, so it's going to be on the lower half of the list here. Side activity number 6 is going to be racing. Racing is exactly what it sounds like. You want to bring a fast car to the start of the race line, and then it can either be a checkpoint to checkpoint style sprint race, or it could be a laps race, either or. And it's pretty straightforward, you know, pretty simple, pretty easy way to earn respect if you have a fast car. However, when I play games like these, when I play Saints Row, I'm not trying to play a racing game, so that's kind of why it's on the lower half of my list here. Like, yeah, sure, it's fun. This isn't really what I play these types of games for. Coming in at number 5 to start the top 5 off, we have hijacking. And it's basically just what it sounds like. You have to go to a highlighted spot, hijack a certain car, drive it back to a warehouse. And that is literally it. As you go on, as you progress levels, it just gets harder. More and more gang members come after you. More and more cops come after you, that sort of thing. Pretty fun activity. I don't mind it. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, pretty easy to earn respect. So top 5 is deserved. At number 4, we have drug trafficking. Again, not a very difficult one at all. None of these are really that complicated. They're pretty straightforward, but all drug trafficking is you go to a certain location, you have to ride along in a car with a drug dealer, and then you basically just have to defend him and kill off anybody trying to kill him. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, just comes down to your gunplay. So that's all it is just shooting enemies and then returning to a spot, and then you're done. Obviously getting more and more hard as the levels go on. All right, we are down to the last 3, the podium finish. And these next 2, number 3 and 2, are kind of very different from the normal style of activities. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Hitman. When you go into a Hitman, it's not like a mission. You're given a list of people that you basically have to kill, and you have to kill them with a certain weapon. It's kind of just something you do in free roam. You can go to a certain tab inside of your main menu to find a tab of all of the targets you have to kill, and also where they will be residing and with what weapon. And then you can press A to kind of highlight where they're going to be on your mini map. So as you're driving around, if you have someone marked and you're driving through that area, you could potentially pick up the kill. And that's all it is you kill somebody with the weapon that it stays that you have to kill them with, and then congrats, you earn cash and respect for that. You know, I really, really like Hitman. It kind of breaks up the monotony of the normal game, so a well-deserved number 3 spot. Coming in with a silver medal at number 2, we have the Chop Shop. Chop Shop is very similar to Hitman in the sense where you can play it in the open world, and it's also similar to hijacking where you need to go get a car and bring it back to the certain location. But just like Hitman, you get a list of cars that you have to bring back. Certain ones you have to put certain mods on, like a certain spoiler or a grill or something like that, or a hood even certain wheels. And once you've acquired that car in free roam, you could just go drop it off the Chop Shop to earn some cash and respect. Pretty fun, man. I genuinely enjoy searching around for the specific cars that you need, or doing a task to obtain a certain car is pretty fun. Just like Hitman, it's just nice to be able to do something in free roam that kind of breaks up the monotony of doing a normal or a side mission. So I would say Chop Shop is very deserving of the number 2 spot. And with that being said, due to the process of elimination, you probably already know what I'm going to say, but for number 1, the gold medal coming in, we have insurance fraud activity. Now, this one has always been my favorite, even since way back in the day. All you have to do is you go to a certain target area on the map, kind of like Mayhem. There's like a scoring area, and all you have to do is throw yourself in front of traffic to earn money. That is literally it. It's literally an activity of playing in traffic and getting money for it. There's a certain amount of money you have to earn, as well as a time limit to earn it in. As you progress levels, you get more time, and you also have to earn more cash. But yeah, you literally just throw yourself in front of cars, and then there's certain bonuses you can get by like running into cop cars and then chaining multiple cars together. But it's just really fun, man. It really reminds me of, like, I don't know if you guys have played the skate games, but it really reminds me of Hall of Meat from that game. Another game mode where you just throw yourself off your skateboard on purpose to break as many bones in your body as you can. Very, very fun. Changes up the monotony of the game. So insurance fraud, of course, yes, coming in at a very, very deserved number 1 spot. With all that being said, with all the activities out of the way, I will say that gaining respect and filling up that respect bar to then continue a mission, it's a really cool mechanic to kind of get you into the side missions so you just can experience more than the main game, you know? And I appreciate that, but I can't lie, it got old so fast. I feel like it's mostly because I've played the game before, you know, so I was more used to, I kind of knew what I was getting into with all these, so I really didn't want to go through and do them all again. However, if you're experiencing this game for the first time, then I feel like you'd probably enjoy it for the first time. You know, I feel like I did, so that's worth mentioning, I guess. I do want to bring up the stores really quick. I won't talk too much about them because they're pretty much your standard run-of-the-mill clothing stores, gun stores, that sort of thing. But I do have to talk about the Brown Baggers store, man. So Brown Baggers is a drugstore where you can just go. You can literally buy like gin and juice, a 40 ounce. You could buy a pipe. You could buy a blunt. You can literally buy like a water bong over the counter and then smoke it. It's so funny. If you're into marinara, that's pretty funny. Like seeing my fat ass character just pull out the bong and then take a hit of the marinara is so funny, dude. Let me briefly talk about any of the rememberable characters in this game. Of course, we have Julius. He's the leader of the Saints. Classic Julius. He plays a bigger part in the games to follow, I believe, as well. I actually don't even remember, dude. I haven't played Saints Row 2 or 3 in absolutely forever. I genuinely can't even remember what happens to this guy. There's Johnny Gat, of course. He plays a bigger role. He even has his own game where he's getting out of hell or something, apparently. We have White Boy Troy, who ends up betraying you at the end of the game. He ends up being a fucking undercover cop. Like, what the heck? Plot twist. We didn't see this coming, dude. There's Dex. He's the sideways hat guy, and he's the jean jacket guy. I feel like I remember him playing a bigger roles in the later games, but again, I can't remember. And then the only other characters worth talking about are Lynn. Oh man, R.I.P. Lynn, bro. R.I.P. Lynn. She was a real one. You don't really see Lynn all that much throughout the game. She kind of goes undercover in the West Side Rollers to gain inside intel so you can take the gang out, and then sadly, tragically passes away. So press F to pay respects, please. And then I guess I have to mention Aisha. Aisha is Johnny Gat's girlfriend. It's funny because apparently she's some like huge artist in the world of Saints Row. Like she's some huge pop artist apparently, and then she only has 2 cutscenes. You end up faking her death. You end up helping her fake her death so she can get out of the deal she has with the Vice Kings and then live a life of peace. And then that's really it, man. You just never see this person again. She might come back in the later games, but I genuinely can't remember. So, and now we finally move on to the closing segment of the podcast, Re-Chat of the Week, where I delve into the reviews of Saints Row, and we'll either highlight a retarded comment or we will highlight a Chad comment. Just trying to find a comment I can combat or I can agree with. Being that it's an Xbox game, we're headed off to Xbox.com to find some player-written reviews about Saints Row. It really did not take me long to find this comment, but here we go. We have a comment from from Little Genius 17, posted November 1st, 2022. 5 stars, by the way, he rates the game. He says, good classic game. I like the game a lot, but it's sad that it was found as a GTA clone. But I don't find it as a GTA clone. I find it as a comparator. A comparator. A comparator. I just had to highlight this because his name is Little Genius, but he used the wrong word. I don't know what the hell he's trying to say, comparator. I think he means competitor, so just had to highlight this comment because, bro, you titled your name Little Genius, yet you used, like, what is this English? What am I reading right now? Comparator? Come on, dude. Come on, dude. You're genius. Be better than that. Little genius, more like a little retard. Am I right, folks? We're doing a 2 for today. I saw another review that I wanted to highlight. Coming in hot as Chat of the Week, we have Sinful Zombie, who posted around this time last year. He says, 5-star review. If my memory serves me right, this was back when Volition put pride and passion into their games. Now it's just using the IP for easy money. You know, I chose this comment because literally every other review was just praising the original Saints Row, how much of a classic this game is, and just how bad the reboot is. I'll share some quick thoughts about it. I haven't played too much of it. I do like the gunplay. I do like the driving. I like the mechanics and the perk system and all that. But it really does truly feel like a cop-out. It really just doesn't feel like Saints Row, though. It really just feels like they used the title to get some publicity, slap it on there, and put it out in the world, you know? None of the original characters have returned, and I'm not sure they're going to. At least so far. I'm not done with it yet. I still have a lot to play, especially doing the campaign missions, but I don't think it's all that bad. It's just like, it really just doesn't feel like a Saints Row game. That's the biggest problem. I just had to highlight Sinful Zombie's comment because he calls it like he sees it, man, and I appreciate that. I truly feel like this game would have been way better received if it wasn't called Saints Row. This new game, while very fun, is just one giant nostalgia bait, which is just very dishonest and unfortunate. You'll hear about that next week. So would I recommend Saints Row to anybody? The original 2006 one, obviously. I don't know. I mean, if it's your first time playing it, if you've never touched this game before and you're going into it, then yes, I would recommend it. It's kind of cool to just see a product all the way back from 2006, you know? However, it does have some outdated mechanics. Like, it does that thing the older GTA does where if you die in a mission or even a side mission, you have to redo the entire thing. There's no checkpoint system. So there's some missions where you have to drive a really, really long distance. And then if you end up dying, you have to drive the whole distance again and then get into the shootout, you know? So it's kind of annoying, kind of outdated, but the humor's pretty funny. But the gameplay is just, I don't know, it's just kind of subpar, you know? It's not really all that engaging. I do remember the second one being a lot better and more fun than this one. So I would recommend playing that. Although, again, haven't touched it in forever. It was a great and fantastic game for its time, but I gotta be honest, guys, if you're a super fan of this genre, then yes, I would recommend it. You should play it, definitely experience it. However, in 2024, I would just recommend Grand Theft Auto 4 or 5. They're just much better games by miles. Also, GTA 5 has an insane multiplayer, along with a lot of custom stuff you can get into. And if you're into the roleplay shit, there's a whole GTA mod for that as well you can get into. I'm personally not into the RP shit. I could really care less about it, but the multiplayer is very fun with friends. Anyways, that's pretty much going to do it for the Saints Row part of the podcast, guys. I'm just going to yap a little bit about what I'm playing right now, but let me know what you thought of the video in the comments, guys. I put a few clips in. I did a little bit of editing. Let me know what you think. I'm going to go back and watch it too and see how it is, but I think it added a little bit of comedy, a little bit of funny to the podcast here. Again, I'm kind of brand new to this stuff. Well, not brand new, but I really have like zero experience doing editing or anything like that. I work a full-time job, so I just do this on the side for fun. So let me know what you thought. So what am I playing? Obviously, I'm playing the Saints Row reboot. I actually, one of my friends bought it too. We've been playing it together. It's actually pretty fun in co-op. More on that next week when it drops. Been playing a little bit of Pokemon Unite, not that much, but I've really just been playing Mecha Bellum, dude. They just did the full release of Mecha Bellum and they added like comp ranks and stuff, so it's been really fun to grind. I've been having fun learning the best armies to play in that game. It's very, very fun. I very much recommend it to anybody. Been back on X Define a little bit because Season 2 just dropped. It's pretty good, pretty good. And I've also just been on Overwatch trying to finish the prestige tiers of the Battle Pass out, doing my weeklies and whatnot. Really quick, I just got to throw this in at the end here. This game has a fire soundtrack, of course, with a bunch of licensed songs too. Just had to mention it really quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll just about do it for the podcast. It's closing time. One last call for alcohol. So finish your whiskey or beer, guys. Like, yes, I know it's closing time. Like, you don't have to go home, right? But you can't stay here. Thank you so much for listening. Take care of yourself. Make sure you exercise, you fat piece of shit, and drink water. Have a nice week, weekend, or day. Peace. Goodbye.